Welcome into Stone Cold Stros. I'm Brandon Strange with Charlie Palillo and Josh Jordan. Follow them on X at Palillo and at Josh Jordan 975. And in between our episodes here, you can read their blogs over on sportsmap.com. On today's episode, the Astros sweep the Snakes and make up all the ground they had surrendered to the M's. We'll react to that series. Lance McCullers has a blister, but the growing list of players in the IL continues to be the real sore spot for Houston. But as they say, necessity is the mother of lineup construction, as the Bryce vibes were immaculate in Arizona. We'll talk about it all next. But before that, a good way, some would insist the best way to make sure the vibes stay high with the hometown team is to make sure that you're driving engagement up, baby. So hit like on the video right now. If you haven't already, hit subscribe on the channel. Join the 26,000 and change that have done it before you. And while you're in the clicky mood, mash that bell for notifications so you know as soon as the new content drops. And if our faces are too much to power through, or you just want to listen in the gym or the car, we're on all the favorite podcast apps. Just search Stone Cold Stros. Charlie, Josh, welcome in. Houston takes care of business in Arizona despite a league-leading 17 players on the IL. Joe Espada sat Altuve and Cam Smith and dared the Diamondbacks to salvage a game, but no dice. It's a confusing mix of emotions with fans right now between despair for the guys they are missing and admiration for what this team continues to get done in spite of all of it. It always starts with the pitching. It has all season, the depth of which continues to be challenged. More on that in a minute. But Tuesday night, Fromber goes seven innings, 1 earned run. Brandon Walter said, that looks fun. I'll try that too. 7 innings, 1 run Wednesday. The degree of difficulty keeps getting raised for Houston, but to this point, they just don't blink. Let's start with Arizona, and then we zoom out. Charlie, your thoughts on the sweep?
Well, those despairing over the injuries, what is wrong with you? Looky who's peering down from the top of the mountain in the American League. The Astros, with the Blue Jays perched next to them. It's pretty freaking remarkable. Helped, of course, by the Tigers collapsing, having lost 9 of their last 10. Well, just a week ago was the Astros in the throes of dropping 7 out of 8, looking toward 8 out of 9, down 3-0 to the Mariners. And then since then, all is well in their world again, at least for the healthy bodies. And whoever Joe Espada throws in there, I mean, that was a spring training lineup in the game on Wednesday, starting with Taylor Trammell leading off. And he gets a hit, draws a couple of walks, and then you just go down. Move Walker up to third, Yiner up to fourth. Walker gets the game-winning hit. Yiner has a 3-hit game. And then you get to everyone else in there, all the way down to Shea Whitcomb for the time being at third base in lieu of Isaac Paredes. A reminder, I don't know that anyone needs a reminder. A bad bullpen can gut a team. And hi there, Arizona Diamondbacks, as the Astros got to that Arizona pen 2 games in a row. The Diamondbacks, the 4th worst bullpen ERA in Major League Baseball. The next 2 Astros opponents, the worst 2 bullpen ERAs in baseball. So this team, which has shown an ability to score in the late innings and win close games, way above and beyond what the team did last year, just hang around. And I know there's that paranoia. Put the Astros in against a bad team. And, hey, 4 at home with the A's, then 3 at home with the Nationals. A chance to really go to town here after turning what started off as a road trip that could have seen their lead dwindle to 2 games on Sunday. Well, now their margin over the Mariners is larger than it was when they started the trip. 6 up with 60 to go. It's simple math. The Mariners are going to catch the Astros. They have to be 100 percentage points better than them the rest of the way. Astros play 500 ball, just 500 ball, forces the Mariners to play 600 ball. The Astros play 550 ball, which is 90 win for the season. Well, it forces Seattle to play 650 baseball, which is incredible. So the Astros actually adding to their lead on this trip. It's not clinched yet, but this was a giant stride toward winning the division again.
I'll start by giving out some love to the pitching staff. Brandon Walter, man, like he came through again. It gives you 7 innings in the finale, only gives up the 1 earned run, 1 walk. I think that's a big part of it. 5 strikeouts. His previous start against Seattle, 6 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. Previous start against Cleveland, 2 hits, 2 runs, 0 walks, 7 strikeouts. We're seeing the trend there, right? Don't walk guys. Makes your job a hell of a lot harder. Seems like every time you walk a dude, he comes around to score. It's just kind of how baseball works. So got to give some love to him, the rest of the pitching staff. We talked before the video came on. Every time we think there's going to be a glut of pitching on this team, something terrible seems to happen. So I don't want to come out and proclaim that, but my Lord, look how good this whole starting staff outside of McCullers is pitching right now. And if you actually get back Javier and Arrighetti and Garcia and maybe JP France, wow. I mean, what a change that could make. And then all of a sudden you're really just focused on the offense. But to your point, Brandon, we can't get too excited about that. Somebody else seems to get hurt every time you get another guy back healthy. So we'll see how that progresses. But right now we're in a good spot. You're in first place and it looks like all your pitching's coming back. Man, Bryce Matthews, your first round pick, he's looking like he can really be a dude. And we talked about this on the podcast, guys, not that long ago. We were like, call him up. You know what all these other guys can do on the roster. Most of them have been just journeymen kind of bouncing around. Take a shot on your first round pick. And I thought it was funny too, how Espada and everybody was kind of like, oh, don't get your hopes up too much on Matthews. He's really raw. And we had to call him up here in a pinch. And then look what he does. Incredible. So, and Christian Walker finally just it's starting to look like he's turning it around. He's becoming what we thought he could be. Just right now in July, guys, 348 batting average, 3 homers, 895 OPS. If Christian Walker can be that guy, and they're going to need him to be with all these injuries, the Astros will be in a much better place.
First on Matthews, who's a relatively heralded prospect, certainly by Astros farm system standards. The loudest 167 hitting first week in the major leagues maybe we've ever seen. And Matthews, in his minor league career, the average has struggled because of contact issues. Well, he struck out 11 times in 24 at-bats. But power and athleticism play, especially in contrast to a guy like Brendan Rodgers, who was just nothing there. I hope he gets well after the freak injury at rehab. But if you're an Astros fan, you hope to never see Brendan Rodgers in an Astros uniform again. Let him collect his money. Season over. Bye-bye. Bryce Matthews starting that nifty double play to end the game on Tuesday night. He basically won the first 2 games of the series himself with the 2 homers and 5 RBI Monday. Then the game-winning home run when the Astros being shut out into the 8th inning on Tuesday, plus the defense that I mentioned. And even when he was thrust into third base by the Paredes injury in the Seattle series, actually it was because of extra innings in the Seattle series, he made a couple nice plays fielding bunts. So there's a defensive question with his reputation. We know the tools are there. On the bases, he's going to be a better base runner than most Astros almost by default, but then you add in his speed and raw athleticism. Look, it's 1 week, and the only other player in Astros history to hit 3 home runs in his first 5 games in the big leagues was a guy named Orlando Miller. And as you say, who? Exactly. It's 1 week. But what a week for a team that really needed a booster shot, and Bryce Matthews delivered it. As for Brandon Walter, he's a nothing prospect. What a remarkable story. He turns 29 in September. He came into June with 0 big league wins. He pitched 23 innings, all in relief for the Red Sox a couple of years ago. They released him last summer. The Astros didn't sign him with any hopes of becoming a big league pitcher. They signed him as a minor league depth guy, and, well, they've needed depth, but they've needed depth beyond depth. And Walter, you gave the individual game numbers, Josh. In aggregate, he's the anti-McCullers. 52 strikeouts, 4 walks in his 9 starts, a 13-1 ratio. Wins are an overrated stat. Everyone knows that now in grading a pitcher. Walter has only 2 wins in his 9 starts. Well, that's because in 5 of the 6 starts of Walters that the Astros have lost, they scored 1 or 2 runs. So he's been phenomenal. He'd be your game 3 starter if opening a postseason series right now if you're the Astros. A lot about that can change, of course, with bodies getting back between now and the end of September. But the best news of all, if you're an Astros fan, is that now it's extremely likely there will be postseason games to make decisions about Brandon Walter or someone else behind Fromber and Hunter Brown. And there's another subplot. In order now, it's Fromber and Hunter Brown.
Yep.
Yeah. And you talk about the win stat not basically mean anything, but Walter's 2 wins are double what Justin Verlander has this season. And who's doubled up him? Colton Gordon. I mean, it's just incredible. They just bring up these guys and are in outside the pitching. We've seen breakout games and clutch performances from Cooper Hummel, Zach Short, Taylor Trammell, now Bryce Matthews. And I mean, on Wednesday, you saw Christian Walker actually have a clutch hit. And Christian Walker is, if I can steal the term here, an enigma for me. He is an enigma because he's so frustrating. One of the things I was thinking about earlier was we've seen Altuve go on these on-base streaks, whether it's walks, bunts, singles, or whatever the case is. He'll go on these 5-6 at-bat on-base streaks. We've seen guys like Taylor Trammell the same way, like a 5 at-bat streak where they get on base. Trying to think of who else. Caratini goes on those kind of where it's just like he just gets on base over and over again. You never see that from Walker. Walker never sustains production, and he had an opportunity for a sac fly on Wednesday's game, strikes out, and then he comes up with an opportunity, an RBI opportunity late in the game, and you think like, oh man, this, just when you count him out, and then boom, RBI. Incredible. I mean, it's just, there's heroes all around. You have to have it for as thin as this team is, but it is remarkable that so many guys have been able to step up in these moments, because that's not the case a lot of times with teams. There's plenty of teams that just find the other ways, find ways of just coughing it up. And it looked like that Bennett Sousa had coughed it up for Houston on Wednesday, and yet they had one more offensive push in them to get across the finish line. And obviously what's, we talk about the degree of difficulty, and that's no more so encapsulated by Houston being without Yordan Alvarez all season, basically. It feels like a couple months ago, but I asked you guys if Houston would have a multi-game lead in the division by the time Yordan returned. They could be at the top of the AL when he returns, which is crazy talk to think about, especially when you talk about, Jeremy Pena missing time, Jake Myers missing time, now Paredes being on the shelf with the significant strain. But let's get into Yordan, because he spoke with the media this week and gave an update on his hand. There was a lot to unwrap here. Thankfully not his hand, but I wanted to highlight these quotes so that we can kind of react to them. When asked, will you have to deal with this all year? Yordan says, quote, I wish not, but I don't know. If I have to deal with it, it will be for the rest of the season. I think I need to rest it. But again, I need to come back and play. And I think I'm in the right direction right now to come back and play. When he was asked follow up about surgery being an option, he said, quote, where the pain is in the hand, it's a little bit difficult to have surgery there. That's why I say I need a little bit of rest right now. It's an area where normally we don't get surgery in that area. But I think it isn't something I'll have to keep dealing with, which is, confusing to say the least. Besides the frustration that the team literally employs medical professionals who could speak to this in a much more articulate fashion, versus having Yordan speak to this through who doesn't have a medical background, and also speaking through a translator. Besides that frustrating part of it, what are your reactions to Yordan's quotes? Do they make you more encouraged or more skeptical of a timely return?
The phrase word salad pops into my head. He talked around, well, it could be this, it could be that. I might be back. I should be back. I need to be back, but I can't be back. Will I be back? So I feel like I'm Yordan, or maybe like Dana Brown. I'm not a doctor or remotely qualified to be one, but let's talk like we are on the program. Seems like, obviously the bones are smaller in the hand, but the risk of nerve damage, I guess, if it's in a sensitive area. But we still can't get a straight answer on what the actual injury is, right? The fracture, that's not the non-issue at this point. So it's just inflammation. It's more than inflammation if they know they can't perform surgery where the problem is. So I remember way back when I was taking the position that, hey, you can tell me Yordan's healthy and good to go out of the All-Star break, book it. I'm now to the point, give me September 1st with Yordan, and I'll take it. I'm not sure who there's more cause for hope that he'll be back and able to perform, though, between Yordan and Isaac Paredes, who went from hamstring discomfort So it sure sounds like a torn hamstring in a hurry. And if so, Paredes' season could be done. Right? Those are, if it's a tear, a bona fide tear, that's a 2-month plus injury, fair percentage of the time. Now, maybe it's just 3-4 weeks, but these are the Astros we're talking about. So any optimistic or short-term injury report we get, who's going to believe that? So cross your fingers hard on Paredes. Yordan, to me, is who knows?
Yeah. With Paredes, Charlie, I'm kind of just looking at it from my fantasy football background. When Nico Collins pulls a hamstring, he usually misses about a month, something like that. AJ Brown for the Eagles last year, he missed about a month with a hamstring. So as long as you're not tearing it off the bone, maybe something like that, then hopefully Paredes is back in 5-6 weeks. I think that's we'd be happy with that if that was the case. A month would be great, but that might be around the time Jake Myers is coming back too. So you might get an influx of guys coming back, and it could be a benefit, but they're also going to have to kind of refine their chemistry with guys in and out of the lineup all year. It'll be interesting to see how they handle that when guys actually do come back healthy. As far as Yordan, Brandon, man, I don't know what to think. The Astros could have won this year's World Series before Yordan's back with his hand. Like we have no idea. It worries me from a long-term perspective. Like, so this is something that we can't have surgery on. Like we can't correct it. It's just a thing that needs rest, but you have to go out there and play. You can't just rest. I think the Astros are happy with this, that Yordan did answer all these through an interpretator. This is as clear as mud. Nobody has a clue what's going on with Yordan. This is exactly what the Astros want, just a bunch of uncertainty. But I'm legitimately concerned, man, just especially long-term with him. It's not his first hand injury. He's had a lot of other injuries too. I know we got a great deal on his contract and all, but it makes you wonder, is this something that's going to keep happening year after year, where hands become a deal where you just have to expect him to miss 30 games a year?
And for all that, the single most critical guy to get back, if he can pick up close to where he left off, is Jeremy Pena, for sake of both the offense and the defense. Dubon is a real solid, super utility guy. He didn't hold a candle offensively to what Pena can bring. Zach Short has had moments in Arizona's bullpen and defense. We don't know how to pick up bunts. Short starting the game-winning mini rally, 1 run, 9th inning on Wednesday. But come on, how much of a living do you expect to make if you're playing Zach Short at short and Shea Whitcomb at third, and hoping that Bryce Matthews can sustain with the power at least at second. So Jeremy Pena with that rib, and he's not out on a rehab assignment. Hopefully that all comes together quickly when he gets out there and get back in the lineup.
Yeah, and the problem with not giving details is it allows for so much speculation, which I'm going to participate in, because to me, Yordan's injury, in my completely unprofessional opinion, it sounds like flexor tendon in the hand, because that would, and I'm just using context clues, because flexor tendon usually falls into that no man's land on the hand where you can't operate because of all the things you said, Charlie, with the nerve questions, and you don't want to screw up his hand to where his grip's messed up and can't grip it back correctly. So again, I don't know anything, but it's as good as the theories I've heard out there. So that's just going off of what he said, and that it's a surgery in which they will do, but only when it's like a last resort. So again, I don't know anything. I don't have any inside sources. That's just a guess, as good as any other opinion that I give on this channel, and for the price that I charge, which is, just a like and subscribe. So it's pretty cheap. Speaking of other players, if not oft injured players, Lance McCullers goes on the 15-day IL with a blister. See, guys, he didn't suck. He's just hurt. Look, I want to preface this the way I always do with Lance, because of the feedback that we get about Lance in the comments and the feedback that I see. Like, we need to separate the man from the player. So like the man, good man, definitely wants to play, wants to be on the field, hard workers, working hard to get back and stay back. But the player, the commodity, the player on a professional team on the business side of things, it's not great. At this point, I mean, I know we talked about the leash may be really, really short with Lance, but this being another injury, like, how much are you putting into this actually being the reason? How much does this change your opinion from the last time we talked? Because we talked about that shortened leash. Like, Where does this leave us now with Lance?
When we were already in a spot over our last podcast, we were like, how many times are they going to let him go out there and get shelled and have to go to the bullpen in the second inning? We were starting to wonder if he got blown up one or two more times, he'd be pushed out of the rotation anyway. And as I was looking at all the ERAs on the team over the course of the year, all the guys we brought up from Sugarland and guys we've had to use in a pinch, McCullers been worse than all of them. I mean, he's just, I know he's had a few like, oh, he was great in that game, but he's so bad in so many other games that, yeah, you have that one standout performance. Well, great. If we can't count on you to get out of the third inning every other start, I mean, how much can that stuff really matter to you, especially when the other guys on the team are pitching better than you? So this is bad. And I see a lot of people thinking that he's faking the injury or, that they're just doing this because he's not performing well. I don't think that's the case. I've seen stuff online about watching him having issues with that. And we know he throws a lot of breaking balls, and guys that deal with spin deal with blisters as much, if not more than anybody. So it makes sense, but it's just another warning of just what are the vibes around McCullers? Let's just go real macro. It's just, Brandon, he's either hurt, he has a standout performance, or he gets rocked. There's just not a lot of in between. And like, we all like Lance, but it's just starting to be it doesn't seem like his body can do it anymore. That's just where we're at. It's only his first year back. I'm not going to totally rule it out, but the signs aren't good right now.
Do you know how harsh it can be on the fingers operating those high-end espresso machines? Hey, the catchphrase is addition by subtraction. He was god-awful in 4 of his last 5 starts. Out of the way, anyone they put in there basically would be expected to perform to an earned run average of better than 690, 6.90. So Gusto before Arrighetti and/or Javier and/or Roy Oswalt get back. No reason to trust McCullers when he goes to the mound. Talked earlier about he's the anti-Walter. The command, even when it's good Lance, right? He walks guys, but unable to finish off hitters the way he used to. Basically looks scared to death to throw his fastball, whether he doesn't trust the stuff or the ability to locate. If he resurrects, fine. Anyone hoping hard for it, I respect your optimism.
Do you guys think they might end up putting him on the IL with some BS kind of thing, just to, if it continues like this, just to get him off the actual roster so he's not taking up a spot, and then just try and roll the dice again next year and hope for better results? And what are they going to do? They can't just leave him on the roster when he comes back. They need that spot. I don't think they can use him regularly and think it's going to work. Charlie, what do you think, man?
17 mil guaranteed. So unless he retires and they work out a settlement, which will mean paying Lance McCullers all his money, right? He didn't have the Astros blindfolded with a cigarette in their mouth when he was signed a contract. So, hey, if his body breaks down, his body breaks down. That's the risk, especially with pitchers on those long-term deals. But they do have stretches coming in August and September where they play 10 and 13 and 10 consecutive days. But let's remember, September 1st, the days of you can carry 18 pitchers on your staff, they're gone, right? You get to add 2 players to your roster, one of them a pitcher. And so we don't know how they're going to perform, but I feel pretty good about Arrighetti being at least better than McCullers has been. Javier at least better than McCullers is in. So Josh, I think you're on it. Where possibly is the roster spot? You're not going to trust him in a setup role. I mean, you're going to carry him because of his guaranteed money over Caleb Ort. Right, Abreu and Ort are the only right-handers in their bullpen. Well, who would want McCullers come out of the bullpen unless the score is 11-2?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, man, it really bums me out because I am a fan of Lance. We got to meet him at the station. Was a really cool dude. Everything you see about him, just seems like a really nice dude. And obviously our memories of 2017 and even the little short spurt he had in 2022, which I think definitely contributed towards their success in that season. I want so badly for him to recapture that. I just don't see a world in which even if they shut him down this year, like Josh, you talked about it. It's the vibes.
Yeah.
It's once your body starts breaking down, it's just this systematic thing of, are you overusing this to compensate for this? Are you, and it's just this balance that once it becomes imbalanced, so many times we've seen it with so many players, almost never do you see, and unless guys are really, really elite. And even then it's not common, where once the injury ball starts rolling, very rarely does that undo itself. All you hope, like in a case like Brantley, is that the injuries are like just far enough apart to where you can get large swaths of production in between. But a guy like Lance, he's just struggled with this for so long now and has had so many setbacks, it's really tough to be positive. I mean, I do hold out faint hope, but that's a fan's hope. It's not a realistic hope. So yeah, moral of the story is I'm pretty bummed out because, there's a good reason to be bummed out, because I want to see that guy make a comeback for a lot of reasons. Maybe the least of which is to help the team, but just to see this guy be successful is what I'd really like to see from a personal interest story. Now,
just quickly, Brandon,
yeah.
He started the season late, and now he's already on the IL for the second time.
Right.
And he has, it's just, that's what you're pointing to, right? The vibes. It hadn't even been his arm. And here he is, didn't even play the whole season, and he's already now going on the IL for the second time.
He sprained his ankle in the gym.
I'm good with all that. Let's mention wonderful animal rights supporter, but on the field, dog eat dog world.
Yeah.
You don't cut it. Sorry, you don't get to eat anymore. You want to feel sorry for someone, though, it's Luis Garcia. And McCullers is finishing up an $85 million contract, 2 entire years of which he never threw a pitch, collected $34 million. He's making $17 million this year for a 6.90 ERA. He's making $17 million next year. Right? Christian Javier, if he never throws another pitch, $64 million. Luis Garcia never got to the big money, and his career is in the balance. If he doesn't come back and pitch this year, he's going to be non-tendered and signed for barely the minimum, desperately trying to resurrect his career somewhere next season. So you do feel for Lance McCullers on the human level, but not on payday.
No, for sure. And I don't know if you guys have seen the videos of Garcia throwing, but definitely the hand action is a lot. The arm slot's a lot different now.
Yeah.
So that's going to be something to watch because, I mean, think about all the things that have had to change since he's pitched regularly. I mean, first the rules to where he can't rock the baby anymore. And then now all the setbacks he's had on his arm, and his arm slot is now, changed, I would guess, in response to what was happening with the setbacks. So yeah, it's very alarming, and it makes you really wonder if he can get back to where he was prior, which, I mean, was a good pitcher, not a great pitcher. So like that really does raise the question. I talked about the elite guys. Well, they start at a floor that's higher than most. So if they come back as a smaller percentage of themselves, they're still really good players. But a guy who was already a good middle to back end of the rotation guy, if he loses anything, that doesn't speak well for his opportunities in the future. And to just put a cherry on top of your point about Lance, the thing about Lance is, yes, it's dog eat dog on the field, but it's also, you have to take care of the rest of the team. And having Lance go out there and not know if he's going to go nuclear, within 3 innings, and then all of the rest of the weight falls on the bullpen, that's just not fair. That's not fair to the rest of the guys in that locker room that would have to pick him up in that game, because we've seen what that does. It sets back the team. You're having to, run guys out there in positions where they're not normally used to pitching, and that can just create a whole domino effect of unfortunate things. Now, speaking of domino effects, is, we've got on the horizon, perhaps some guys returning. We've talked about on the pitching side, Luis Garcia, maybe. Christian Javier looks like he's much more ahead of schedule than him. Spencer Arrighetti is on the horizon. So you have reinforcements seemingly that could join a guy like, Gordon and Walter, who've already been pretty good. I mean, shout out to Ryan Gusto too, who I don't think anybody really was expecting much from him this season. We've seen a lot more of him than we expected to. He's been serviceable in spot starts and appearances. But, so it looks like the strength of your team could get more reinforcements. On the other side, a lot of question marks about when guys are going to be returning in the lineup. So, and obviously we touched on the Paredes injury confirmation. This kind of confirms what we were speculating last episode about the hamstring strain and the significant, and it'll be taking some time to get back. So maybe a month, maybe longer, who knows? So a lot more question marks, especially with Yordan. Where we always have this ongoing conversation about trade needs. Where do these updates now tilt the prism as to what Dana Brown's focus should be going into the deadline?
I still think left-handed hitter is the offensive priority. It was the case when they had Yordan. Without him, they're still so overloaded to the right side. And credit to scraping wins together, but a couple of the wins this week, starting with the Sunday, 2 more wins where they score 3 or fewer runs. That's 20 times this season. And if you're looking ahead to the playoff push and in the postseason, you're facing premium pitching, will the lineup be able to do enough? Right? You can go back to the 2-game quick dismissal by the Tigers last year where the offense did basically Zippo. So the left-handed stick, I think starting pitching, if they could get someone, they'd say he's definitely the guy we want over all else we have to start game 3. If they wind up in the 2 out of 3 in the first round, or if you're in a 3 out of 5 and you can't just pitch Fromber and Brown and Fromber and Brown and Fromber, and there are your 5 games, how will Walter hold up? But I don't think they acquire a back of the rotation starter that they hope that between Arrighetti and Javier, or maybe combined, where they piggyback them in a start. And maybe that's what happens with Gusto and Gordon in a slot. Let me throw a curveball in the bullpen, which overall has been phenomenal this season. Hader had the little stretch where, he's starting to give up some gopher balls. Well, I think you're entitled when you're having an elite season to have a little air pocket of struggle. Abreu, fantastic. Bennett Sousa been scored on in 3 of his last 6 outings. Mm-hmm. Brian King had been a little shakier, certainly than he was over the first 60, 70 games of the season, particularly a right-handed gas thrower. And you would think that the price would be a little bit lower, which matters. I'm talking about the prospect cost, because I just don't see how the Astros are going to be able to successfully bid if there's, a number 2 starter caliber guy put on the market, or a Rhino Hearn from the Orioles, especially since I don't think Dana Brown was inclined to include Bryce Matthews in a deal anyway. Yeah. Now I would think it's about entirely off the table, not just because of this 1 week, but because they hope he is their long-term second baseman. The long-term just happened to start now.
And that's what I wanted to get to also. In this Diamondback series, you got a glimpse of maybe what the future cornerstones could be of the Astros. Seeing Cam Smith and Bryce Matthews out there together on the same side of the field. You can imagine maybe them hitting one after the other, 3-4 years from now, something like that. Just like, ooh, wow, this could be the Astros. That would be really exciting. So we'll see. I think it's a hitter for me. I just feel like this team, the pitching, whoever they bring up, they seem to do a pretty darn good job outside of McCullers, knock on wood. So for me, it's the bats, because you got to get there too. There's still a lot of baseball left. And Paredes, we know he's probably gone for at least a month. Jake Myers, same deal. Who knows when Pena's coming back? Yordan, who knows? There's a lot of this offense that is not able to perform and hit right now. And Charlie pointed it out. They're not scoring a ton of runs recently. So I would like to go at a bat, hoping that they can kind of figure out all this pitching and make it work as guys come back healthy, and make a run in the playoffs. But yeah, I think they need a little more offense. The pitching's fine.
Just to throw one name, I don't know what the price would be. I presume the bidding on him would be pretty active. The Twins puked away another game Wednesday against the Dodgers. If they are sellers, Willie Castro, switch hitter, can play multiple infield positions and corner outfield positions, a jack of many trades that the Astros could Swiss Army knife in there, who brings more offensive pedigree than Dubon to complement the roster. I would think that's the kind of guy Dana Brown would at least try to get in on.
The spectrum of expectation on this team is so wild, because to do what they're doing right now with as little as they have offensively, and then combined with juxtaposed with who they could be getting back. You could have one of the best hitters in baseball come to this team, come back to this team. Jeremy Pena return to form when he gets back. It's not out of the realm of possibility for Christian Walker to actually heat up. I don't think it seems unlikely. He has not, as I highlighted earlier, he has not put long stretches of productivity together. But no one outside of Houston would be shocked if Christian Walker went on a heater and just started going Cal Raleigh and just golfing balls out of the park. So the possibilities are really it's a wide spectrum of what really could happen versus what's happening right now. So maybe they don't need to make a big splashy move. I mean, they hope they don't, because as you pointed out, they don't have the draft capital or the prospect capital to make a big deal. But maybe they don't have to. Maybe just getting back their guys is good enough. But man, can you count on that given the trajectory of this season? Final thoughts before we're out the door on anything you want to talk about, trades, possible returning players, upcoming series, whatever.
6-game lead, 1 week from the deadline, going into the Athletics series. Jason Alexander, the starting pitcher, another guy, just basically sign him off the street and, okay, he'll pitch well. He did in West Sacramento, so it's probably why he's getting a second chance against the Athletics. I mean, this is a team with the best record in the league in back-to-back games. The 2 days before, we don't know, TBA as the starting pitcher. And then we'll get into the weekend, which will include a Hunter Brown start. I wouldn't go into worried mode yet, but the tent poles of this season on the mound have been Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez. Hunter's been bad to shaky in 3 in a row now. Maybe he just needs to catch his pitching second wind. You would hope the All-Star break provided that, and then it was a scuffle needing 55 pitches to get through the 3rd and 4th innings against the Mariners. Meanwhile, Framber Valdez, his next turn, the Astros will be trying to win for the 14th time in a row that Framber has been the starting pitcher. Remember, 3 seasons ago, he set the major league record with 25 consecutive quality starts. This is a team record. It will be 14 straight wins. Astros won 13 consecutive Garrett Cole starts in 2019. Framber, over those 13 starts, a 1.86 earned run average. I wouldn't go 8 years, 2 1/4 for him. But 5 years, 150, I'd make that offer right now and see if he takes it.
I would too, Charlie. For me, while everybody's getting healthy, try and make some hay here at home against the A's and the Nationals. This is a great time when you're not at full strength to try and pile up some wins, because it's not going to be so easy. Pretty soon you're going to have to go on the road, face the Red Sox. Marlins not as scary, but then the Yankees. And then you're back home for the Red Sox. So you have some challenging series coming up. It'd be really nice to kind of put your foot on the throat of the AL West and rack up some wins here against the Athletics and against the Nationals.
Speaking of streaks to the tune of 14 consecutive games in which the Astros have allowed the opposition to score first. Yeah. That's a streak that I would like to see broken. My other final thoughts are that if you're interested in advertising your service or product in this show, you can contact our friends on the sales team at houston.sportsmap.com/advertise. The link is also in our description. And one last reminder, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to click like on the video. And if you listen on podcast apps like Apple or Spotify, give us a 5-star rating while you're here. Next scheduled episode drops on Monday. So make sure you subscribe to this channel with the notifications on. For Charlie and Josh, I'm Brandon saying so long. Thanks for listening. And as always, go Stros.